flying jets and not wearing proper hearing protection. You got to feed with all that, you know. Okay, we're about ready to crack up with my friend Dr. Nick. I refer to him that he's not officially a medical doctor, that sort there, but as a gesture of respect to him, I do equate him to that level on a personal basis. He's a good man, and I really like dealing with him. And face it, look, Dr. Nick has got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? I mean, come on, it really does. Hey, Dr. Nick, or Doc Nick, it's great. But he's going to be talking today about remote viewing, remote healing, and the life force. And it's going to be rather interesting, and let me explain. Like I said in my initial opening remarks and briefings, I see a strong similarity between remote viewing and the Force from Star Wars, so maybe he's going to tell us about the Force from Star Wars. So we'll leave it to Dr. Nick. Take it away, sir.
Thank you very much, Ken. I came here and I arrived, and then all of a sudden I found out I was a doctor, and what I found out was I got my doctorate degree from Kent Johnson University, so that's how it all happened. And I was talking to Kent as I was busy scratching out doctor on all these forms I was signing, and we decided, he says, leave it on the name tag. So I left it on the name tag, so that's how I became a doctor all of a sudden here at IRVA 2002. The title of my program is Remote Viewing, Remote Healing, and the Life Force. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes, and then I'm going to ask somebody if they have like a pain issue. And when I'm saying a pain issue, I mean a current pain that they're experiencing right now in the room. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to come up here, and we're going to try to do a remote healing on it. If for some reason the remote healing doesn't work, I have some other things that we can try to see if we can take and just improve the pain. And so that'll be part of the presentation. The third thing that I'd like to do with you is I'd like to have you actually have an experience of a body scan. In other words, to diagnose and to look into another person's body to see what problems they have, whether they're physical problems or past hurts or things like that are in their body. So that's all pending on time. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a licensed clinical counselor in the state of Maine. I'm also a certified school counselor, and I got involved in remote viewing approximately 6 years ago. One of the other things that I do is I also do cutting-edge psychology, or what they call energy psychology, and I do like very fast healing techniques. And when I first studied remote viewing, what I tried to do is to say, well, how can I apply this to healing? And I try to look and find various ways, but anytime we were doing a target or something, I was always in a room with a group of people, unless I was at home working on something on my own. And I always said, well, gee, you don't have enough time to cool down and to go access information about a person. I got a phone call from a friend of mine, and he said, listen, I have a medical intuitive coming to town, and what I'd like you to do is to come down here and see her, because I think it's going to put some things together for you. Well, the medical intuitive's name was Vianna Stabel, and she's from Iowa, and sure enough, she had some quick ways to get into a theta state, and it really kind of blended the remote viewing and the healing for me. And what I want to do today is I want to talk a little bit about how the life force and give you some characteristics of that. So I know some of you probably already have a great deal of knowledge, but I just want to kind of bring everybody up to snuff here. And we're going to take that knowledge, and we're going to take and apply it here and see if we can actually help somebody's pain. One of the other things I do is I attend a lot of conferences, and what I usually do, especially for my counseling conferences, I talk about remote viewing and healing in the other context. In other words, a lot of people are kind of curious about remote viewing, and what I do is I explain to them what it is, give them a sample of what it's like, and also talk about how it can be applied to whatever their healing modality is, whether they're a therapist, a massage therapist, whatever type of heal, a chiropractor, and talk about how they could use this to use their intuition and use their inner self to help their clients heal or patients heal. Okay, Okay, the first thing I'd like to do is just talk about the life force. And it kind of goes under many names in many different cultures. And the popular Oriental names for it is chi or ki. And in the martial arts, they talk about ki being this power or force. Chi is also the characteristics that go through the meridians for acupuncture points. Another term for this life force is prana, or the breath energy. And the belief with that is that it's universal and all of life has it. Another name for it is kundalini, the serpent ascent energy. And they talk about portals and between the physical and the spiritual, and they call these portals chakras. Hawaiian term for the word life force energy is mana, and the driving force or energy used by the kahuna. Mana is the Hawaiian term for the energy, driving force or energy used by the kahuna. And by the way, I do have a set of handouts, so you'll be more than welcome to come up afterwards, and I'll leave them up here on the stage, and that will actually be listed in one of the handouts. Right now I'd prefer not to, and I'll tell you what my reason is. It's usually people start depending on the handouts. So the next form of this term, life force energy, was like what William Reich termed orgone energy. And once again, I think it's like different terms for the same type of energy. And the last is Kent's favorite, is the Force in Star Wars, some sort of universal deity that helps make and manifest the universe. And I just recently saw the new Star Wars movie, and once again, the Force is in it. And they make those lightsabers kind of come across their room into the hands. And the more I've studied about, especially from a martial aspect, about what can be done with life force and stuff, the more surprised I am to find out, the things that people have done. I've recently been in contact with a martial artist in Ohio, and what he does is he claims he can stop a person's mind from attacking. And hopefully in the month of July, I'm going to get to spend some time with him to find out what that's about. He also does healings and stuff to help people. And I think once again, it's like one more little piece to the puzzle of how to help people heal. Let me describe some of the characteristics of the life force energy. Permeates all things to a greater or lesser degree. And this information comes from the Handbook of Psychic Discoveries by Ostrander and Schroeder. And what I got was an adaptation by somebody named Leo Lunza in his book called The Life Force. It accompanies sunlight and probably other forms of energy. Its properties are similar to known forms of energy, but has a distinct energy. It accompanies magnetism, but also appears separately. It is polarized and can be reflected by mirrors. It emanates from the human body, has particularly noted at the fingertips and eyes. It can heal, and if used negatively, it can harm living creatures. It can be conducted by such things as copper wire and silk threads. It can be stored in inanimate materials such as water, food, and even stone. It can fluctuate with cosmic or weather conditions. It can be controlled by the mind, and it can cause things to happen at a distance and then enter into the dynamics of many paranormal experiences. Now, what I want to get ready to do next is I want to get ready to ask for a volunteer. And I would like somebody, once again, that has a current pain that'd like to come up here and deal with it. And what I want to do is I'm going to deal with this in a kind of a remote healing aspect. So I'm going to ask you to sit over there. I'll be over here. And once again, if we can't, I'm usually doing this alone by myself, so once again, doing it in front of a group of people, we'll see how it turns out. But if it doesn't work one way, we'll try another way. I always let people know that, no, mine are over here. Okay. Okay, and so what I always suggest is, too, we're not doing this in spite of medical treatment. We're doing it in conjunction with whatever your problem or issue is. And so, like, I want to say, because we treat you with this, and if we have some success, that never go to the doctor again. I'd say use this and continue your treatment with whatever you're doing. I think there's a lot more to the universe than just plain medicine, and I think that sometimes things like remote healing would help a person, especially people that don't get results from traditional sorts of treatment. Okay, would you like to come up? Okay, and I'm going to ask Jim to turn on the overhead projector. Hi, and we have
Lala.
Lala. Lala, please have a seat. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask Lala some questions. And the first question I'm going to ask Lala is, like, you have a current pain right now, and can you tell us where it is?
It's in the knee.
It's in the knee. Okay. And what I'm going to ask Lala to do is to give me subjective units of distress. I'm going to ask her how badly her knee hurts on a 0 to 10 scale. So 0 means it doesn't hurt at all. 10 means, you know, it's awful, we need to rush you off to the hospital. So.
Well, it's on an ongoing repair right now.
Okay.
It's about a 4 or 5.
4 or 5. So what I always do, Jim, we're going to take the higher number. So if you can write 5 down. And Jim wrote the word SUDS up there, and all SUDS means is subjective units of distress. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready to treat Lala's knee. And what I'm going to ask Lala to do is to tell me as soon as you begin to feel something, okay?
Feel kind of a warm.
Okay.
It's getting a little bit warmer. Pain's reducing.
Okay, can you tell us what number it's at now?
About a 3.
Okay.
It stopped.
Okay. Okay, where are things right now?
It's about a 2 or 3 right now.
Okay.
It's not reducing anymore.
Okay. Okay, Lala, what I want you to do right now is I just want you to take and just touch your forehead. I just want you to breathe 3 times. Deeply. Okay, good. Where are you at right now?
1 or 2.
Okay, And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push it just a little bit more and see whether we can do some more with it, okay? Once again, let me know when you feel things.
I still feel a little bit of pain.
Okay. And what number would you say you're at right now?
1.
Okay. And let's just proceed just a little bit further.
Not feeling any pain.
Okay. And where are you at right now?
0.
0. Okay.
I'm able to move my knee around like that. I feel no pain.
Okay. And when was the last time you were able to do that?
Been like this for years.
Okay.
I can tell you what it is. Even I had a MRI on it. It was a tear of the meniscus.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wear and tear type of injury. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a wear and tear. It's a tear of the meniscus, which is in between the behind the kneecap and in between the. It's the pouch in between the
Okay.
knee joints. And I had an MRI, and that's how we found out about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I'm going to a chiropractor, and he's working on it.
Okay. And does this surprise you?
Yeah.
Okay.
'Cause I haven't been without pain. I mean, I pretty well walk okay, but I haven't been without pain for over 2 or 3 years.
Okay. I think what I'd like to do, and I'd like to speak to our audio and visual person, I'd like to take some questions now while I have Lala up here, and I'll be more than happy to answer questions. Because I think it's important that you get your questions answered now than trying to do it towards the end of the program right now while you just know what you saw and what you witnessed. Sure.
How long will that last?
Okay. Well, during my personal experiences of it are that for some people it's over, done with, gone. Other people it does come back, and what I suggest that they do is that they get in touch with me. In other words, because once again, you saw, yes, I know we were close together, but it doesn't make any difference. When I do it over the phone, we use the same system. We say, what number are you at now? Let me know when you start feeling things, and as things improve, we can take and send the proper amount of whatever we need to do at that time. The distance doesn't matter. Does that answer your question?
It does. I've got another one. Well, I'll refer to somebody else.
Okay, sure.
Yes, you took yourself into something of a trance state. What state were you in?
Okay. Yeah, it's actually kind of a quick theta state for me, and how I got, the next question was how I got myself in it. Okay. What I do is I have like some things that I say to myself and some things that I visualize, so I can drop right into it. The other thing is, because I'm here dealing with a group of people, I also have to stay alert for you and for my person up here on stage, or my client, for lack of better words.
Can I ask what sort of things you said and visualized?
Right, yeah, sure. One of the things I visualize, and what I notice is working with different healers or different people that are doing this work, what works for me is I imagine light going to the specific place. Now, I want to point out, she didn't tell me which knee. I had a rough idea which one it was, but she didn't tell me which one. And then what I do is when I go inside, I'm kind of like scanning her body and directing the light or the energy to that particular spot. The other part of this is, and this will kind of get back to the first question, is, you know, you can teach people how to do this. I mean, this is not mysterious stuff that only Nick can do. You can actually teach a person how to do this for themselves. I'll just tell you a quick funny story. I was training for my black belt in Aikido and for the last 6 months, and boy, I mean, my body got pounded, and I was walking around as one great big ouch most of the time. And so what I'd do is I'd do similar things to myself in order to keep myself going and the pain minimized. And by the way, I want to point out that you can also ask Layla any questions, since she was the one that got the healing.
Yeah, you said this is the first time you've done this in front of a group, or you've done this in front of a group?
The remote healing in front of a group. I've done treatments and stuff in front of groups before. Like last year at the conference, we treated somebody for a fear of, it was a phobia, bridge phobia that they had. And we used a different set of techniques to help them through it. But it's the first time I've done this in front of a group.
My question is, do you think there might be some effect from the audience? For example, while you were doing it, I was focusing, and I'm sure a lot of people here were focusing on that knee and saying some kind, whatever, what as we do, whether it's healing light or prayers or heal, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. You know, the question is, well, does the audience play a factor in healing Layla's knee? And what I'm saying is, that's probably true. When I'm working alone, it's usually just me. So, you know, unfortunately, you guys are here. So, you know, so yes, your thoughts, I'm sure, somehow contribute to it. Last year, we also had somebody that had some sort of back problem, and what we did with that person, we actually did a group healing. We actually included everybody in the audience to help the person's back problem. Okay, let me go with somebody way out back there.
Will you go more into the remote viewing process that occurred in you when you viewed her, scanned her body, and then also more into if it was remote viewing with the light to her knee, or what else was going on in your process?
Okay, the question is, would I go into a little bit more of what the remote viewing process was for me and how I translated it into her body? Is that okay? What my remote viewing process was, once again, I have like a little formula that I say to myself and that I do. And the way things show up to me is they show up to me as darknesses. And so when I scan another person, when I see a darkness, I'm assuming that it's pain. And usually what I do is I check it out with the person. You know, what's wrong with your knee? I didn't do that in this case, since we knew up front what the problem and the issue was. Now, you're probably asking, how does remote viewing apply to the healing? And once again, this is being apart from the client. I mean, the other thing was we could have probably held her hand and transferred energy in that way, but we chose to do it with some distance between us. Once again, I know this is not a great distance, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, we could do the same thing over the phone if she was across the country. Did I answer your question? Sort of, okay. Okay, way out back.
I was wondering, what is the process you go through to get to the latest state? What do you say and do?
Okay, well, one of the things I say to myself is I make some sort of connection to a higher self or higher consciousness. I'm kind of nebulous about what it is because I'm not exactly sure. All I know is I'm connecting to something. Then after that, what I'm saying is I want to give Layla a healing here and, you know, help me out with it. And then I start imagining the light going to wherever it needs to go. Okay, the way I do it is, once again, I have this formula that I repeat to myself. The other thing that I do is I imagine like a ball of white light above my head. Once again, my formula is I'm connecting to something out there.
But you said you say something
Yeah, yeah. Well, what I say is, I'm connecting to higher self, power, God, whatever it is, and it's that nebulous, okay? And I'm commanding or asking for this person to get a healing. Does that answer your question? Okay, thanks. Yes.
Any insights on doing these techniques on yourself?
Sure. I'll tell you, because I had a lot of practice doing that when I was working with this black belt. And yeah, sometimes it works, and sometimes it works real good, and sometimes it doesn't. And those times that it doesn't, then you start looking for alternative means to help yourself out. Okay. Yes, way out back there. We're using the gateway tapes. I can't answer that question. I don't know. I mean, I haven't used the gateway tape, so I can't tell you that. I've created my own cool-down process for when I'm at conferences with therapists and counselors to give them a remote viewing experience. I call it the blue light cool-down. I'll just tell you it in a nutshell. What I imagine them doing is putting blue lights throughout their body, eventually concentrating the blue lights into their center, and that means their physical center or hara. And then at a designated time, when we count 3, allow that white light to go to wherever it needs to go. So if we're working on a target, it'll go to a target. If we're working on a person, it'll go to the person. But that's my kind of blue light cool down process that I use. Okay, thank you.
Does the pain ever transfer back to you? And if it does, how do you block that?
I've had experiences, the question was, does the pain ever transfer back to me? I've had experiences where I've started feeling the pain of the other person, and then sometimes what I need to do is I need to discharge it when I'm done with the session.
You mentioned the chakras. Are you aware of any connection between your chakras and her chakras and transferring any energy that way? Or did you do it at the higher level, or what level did you do that?
Okay, I'm really not aware of the chakras during her treatment. The question was, am I aware of my chakras and her chakras while I was doing the treatment? The answer was no. Let me just check with Layla. Layla, how are you doing right now?
I've been working my... Well, I've been working my knee like I normally do with the exercises that I've been told to do, and I have no pain.
Okay. Let me just kind of shift things for a moment. Does anybody have any questions for Layla, who's just sitting up here? Okay, great.
What I want to know is, do you feel like you went into any trance or altered state of consciousness when he was working with you?
No, not at all. I was just concentrating on how my knee was feeling.
So you were focused then?
Yeah, I was focused on the knee, yeah.
You felt warmth in your knee.
Mm-hmm.
And did you feel that warmth the whole time, or did that go away?
Well, it's gone away now, but during the event, the healing, right now I used to not be able to lock my knee, and I'm locking my knee now. No pain.
Okay. Any more questions for Layla? Okay.
Why do you think you had you touch your head, and what happened when you touched your forehead?
Trying to calm myself down up here. Just really controlling my breathing. I was just kind of starting to breathe heavy up here while I was listening, and nothing was going on externally. But it did calm me down a little bit more, and that's when the rest of the pain went away.
And what I was sensing was that we needed to do something else, and that's what popped into my brain, for lack of better words. Okay. And so that's why I suggested, let's get set. We're kind of a little bit stuck here. Let's kind of shake things up and kind of get things going.
Did you find that your abilities increased proportional to your progress in Aikido?
Yes and no. You know, the keto was really physical, so you had this physical demonstration of, you know, adjusting your body energy. I think more as I learned various other healing techniques, I think they kind of pull themselves together. And so I can't really say it's just the Aikido, but the Aikido definitely did help.
I'm just wondering, do you feel any kind of resonance or excitement in the chakra region, like the head or somewhere that could reflect something happening away from the situation?
Okay, the question is, did I feel any excitement or... Right, and once again, what I'm getting is visual images at that time, and so what it is for me is it's like I'm seeing like lights and things like that, and I'm directing them to where I think they need to go. Usually they go to the place that they need to go. And if not, what I'd do is I would ask some more questions and find out where specifically Layla had the pain, and then take it from there. And let me just make sure, if there's any more questions for Layla, then I'll be more than happy to just let you go back to your seat. Any more questions for Layla? Okay, way over there.
Yes, Layla, I was wondering, it sounds like you're under continuing medical care for this for some time. And when was the last MRI or X-ray? And are you scheduled for another one soon so that there can be some before and after comparison?
The X-ray was done about 6 months ago, and they didn't see anything. And I got a polyp in the back of my knee that's been developing. And at that time, the chiropractor said, no, it's now time for the MRI. And that was about 6 weeks, 2 months ago. Got the results back and what it was. And he's been giving me exercises to do, which have improved it, you know, strengthening the muscles around the knee. But I still had not been without pain even then. And this funny thing about it is I'm taking karate also.
Okay.
I got my orange belt, so it's been worked out. I mean, my knee has a lot of workout, and whenever I try to do some of the kicks, it's just pain, and I just work through it because I've had it for a long time. But I'm hoping that next time, if they do another MRI, that there'll be a difference.
Hey, anybody else? Question for Layla? Hey. Layla, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, some more questions, okay? Let me get 2 more questions, and then I really want to have you do something, and that'll take some of the things off me. Go ahead.
Like if you had 4 or 5 or how many people up there, and each person stated where their pain was, could you do the same process as you and practice?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I've never done this that way, but I don't see any reason why not. Okay? So the question was, could you have like 5 people up here, kind of get their SUDs or the subjective units of distress, and then try to treat all 5 at the same time? And the answer is yes. I've just never done it before. So usually I'm just dealing with a single person at a time, and usually I'm dealing with it either A, over the phone, or B, the person's kind of sitting in my office. So, okay, way out back there.
You mentioned earlier that sometimes when you do healing, you sometimes take that energy into yourself. You mentioned dissipating it.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific
Sure. Yeah, a couple things. It all depends on where and how intense I feel it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll project it into something else. So, for example, if Layla's knee was bothering me right now, I'd take an project the pain into maybe the podium here or a wall or some inanimate object. Another way to do it is you make an energy break, and I'll just show you how to do that. It's very, very simple. It's you rub your hands together and pull one hand apart and the other hand to your body. The third way you could do it is you can imagine yourself taking a kind of a white light energy shower. So you have some sort of, it's kind of almost like a cleanliness metaphor for separating yourself from what you just did. Yes.
Have you had any positive results with limb cooling, like where someone has limb, like a kind of edema with their legs or in the body?
I've had some experience with dealing with people with swelling lymph glands, and no, not specifically, no. The question was, have I had an experience with people with edema, and the answer is no. Okay, and you're going to be my last one because we got to put you guys to work.
Just wondered if you've ever gotten any feedback. I know in churches they do healing ceremonies and people seem to think that they get results. I just wonder if you've got any feedback, maybe that they're consciously using this kind of life force thing that has been stumbled in using it or whatever. Have you ever gotten any feedback on that?
No.
Anyone like that?
Let me make sure I got your question right. The question is, in churches they have healings, and you wanted to know if I got any feedback of what they're doing, is that? And what I'm assuming that's going on is that what they're making their connection to is, the God force or the Christ force, and they're making their connection there. And that's where the healing's coming from. As I usually explain, especially when I'm with counselors and therapists, is usually the healing's happening through you. You're not causing the healing. In other words, I wish I could say, yes, Layla, I was the one that did it all, but it truly is not. Once again, it comes from this life force energy, and basically all I'm kind of doing is kind of making the links and kind of channeling it to where it needs to go. Now, let me see by a show of hands, because I think we have approximately 15 minutes left. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And let me see by a show of hands, because there's a couple ways we can go here. How many people would like to try to scan another person's body to see what their pains are? Okay, let's see. Okay, we'll put your hands down. Okay, how many people would like to see another healing up here? We'll deal with another pain issue. Ooh. Okay, I need some help on this. Okay, it's almost 50-50. So I realized in the program that we said that would kind of teach you how to diagnose and heal, and I wanted to do the diagnosis piece. And would that be okay? Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to just kind of look around where you're sitting. We're going to ask you to use somebody that you don't know. And the reason why is somebody that you don't have a history with. And I'm going to ask you to, if I can just have somebody just come up here for a moment, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. I'm just going to ask you to have the person sit next to you for a moment. And what the viewer is going to do is have their palms up towards the ceiling. So the viewer is going to have their palms up to the ceiling, and the client is going to put her palms down on mine. Okay? So the viewer has their palms up to the ceiling, the client has their palms down. And then I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. I'll bring you through a very quick process. And then I'm going to have you scan their body. And what you're going to do is you're actually going to see dark areas. Once again, that's my thing, is that I see lights and darkness. And you're going to say, I see a dark area in your right ankle. And the person's going to say, geez, when I was 5 years old, I fell off my bicycle and I sprained my right ankle. And then you're going to scan another area and say, well, I see that you have something in your left shoulder. And the person will say, well, I once fell down the stairs when I was in grade school. And we're going to kind of go through the body that way. We did this last year at the conference, and it was people were very surprised at the information they got. Thank you very much. So find a partner. Decide which one of you is going to be the viewer. Okay, good. Okay, viewers, palms up towards the ceiling. Yeah. Okay, the person that's the client is going to put your palms down. We'll ask both of you to close your eyes. Okay, good. And what I want the viewer to do is, I want you to imagine a ball of white light, probably about the size of a basketball, just floating above your head. Okay? And I want you to imagine that white light kind of connecting to something out there, whether it's higher consciousness, universal mind. If you're religious, you can do the religious deity. Just imagine that white light connecting to it by a thread. Good. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to bring that white light over to the client. And what I want you to do is to illuminate their body. And I want you to begin to look and gaze through their body. And any dark areas, begin to mention it to them. And as you do that, as you see those dark areas, the person is going to tell you about any injury or past illness that they've had in that particular area. Okay? Ready? And we're going to give you about 2 minutes to do this. Begin. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay, 15 seconds. Okay, you can just end this session, and if you want to make sure that it's ended for you, just kind of rub your hands together and make a separation. And my question for you is, how did you make out? And Okay. Let me repeat the question. The question was, let me repeat the comment. You saw dark spots in her lower back and dark spots behind her eyes. And did you check that out with her? And what happened?
She does have a lower back pain. I saw it slightly to the left side. I think hers is just, lower back. I saw dark spots by her eyes, and in fact, I found that he does have migraine headaches. Nothing wrong with her eyes, other than eyeglasses.
So, okay, the dark spots behind the eyes were for migraine headaches. Okay, anybody else? Okay.
That was amazing because you said you put a big light over your head.
Yeah.
I did that. Without being on that. And you said move it to the other person. That was so effective because I moved it to the top of her head. It was like a big flashlight.
Yes.
And it was on, and I turned it, I was looking inside, and when I saw, I said, oh my gosh, that could be true. But what I saw was almost like Nico's drawing with all the little black dots all the way through.
Yeah.
So what I said to her is I said, I see several areas that, what can you tell me about that? And she does have something throughout her body.
Okay, so in other words, when you were aware of something going throughout her body, and you were also aware that things really kind of turned right on for you as soon as you did the exercise. Okay, anybody else? Sure. You need to be a little bit louder. Her what? Left jaw? Okay. Okay, so you picked up the pain in her left jaw and the knee, and you found out you were correct and accurate. Okay, and once again, I want to point out that if you notice, it wasn't very difficult, and you already have the abilities, and you can already do it, and it's, once again, when I'm dealing with counselors and therapists, what they're trying to do is usually they're trying to make things more complicated. And what I found out is that, here, let's try something simple, see what happens. And over the past, it's been about the past 2 years I've been working on this particular modality, and it seems to work, especially when we do it in groups, that people are able to do it, and you'll be able to go home and try this with people you know, and you'll also be able to do that also. I just want to tell you something interesting was when I first was trained in remote viewing, I did the CRV and then I did the ERV, and one of the big things about that was, especially in ERV, was being in that theta state. And then what I found out was when I dealt with the medical intuitive that there's quicker ways to get in the theta state, because before I used to listen to a lengthy cool down. And I'm actually able to kind of pop myself in it a lot quicker, faster, better now. Once again, it's probably some of it's practice, but the other part is, we have better ways to kind of get into those states. Now, one of the things that as therapists, what I do is I encourage them to do is when they scan a person's body is to scan it, and once you're aware of problems, ask the person about them, and then you need to make decisions on whether things need to be treated or not. Let me tell you the reason why is sometimes people have an investment in their problem. In other words, they need to have that problem for a reason. Especially around pain issues, sometimes there's dollars and cents involved if they don't have their problem. So you have to be really aware, and you really have to check out with the person whether things like that need to be treated or not. Sometimes what I find out is that people would much rather keep their problem because of the benefits they get from it. So, okay. Ken, do we have time for a few more questions? Okay. 2 or 3 more questions already. Okay, way out back there. Sir?
Is it possible, though, that if you have the wrong partner, you might actually get a benefit rather than a benefit?
Okay.
I'll get this one.
If you have a partner, say that again.
I'm saying, if you have the wrong partner, they have negative energy that's a deficit instead of a benefit.
Okay, if you have the wrong partner, that you'd have negative energy, is that?
If the partner has negative energy, you might not get a benefit, you might get a harm.
Well, the way I look at that is, usually anybody that's coming in with a problem's got some sort of negative something or other. And I have to assume that right off the bat, because they wouldn't be coming unless they wanted some sort of help, whether it's coming, meaning over the phone, or coming into my office. So what I have to assume is that, yes, there's negative things there, but I'm also assuming that they want them reduced or eliminated for some reason or another in order to improve their quality of life.
Okay.
Good question.
Any other questions? We have one over here. Now, I have a long thing to do, but not that long. So you'll have to come around over here. Come on. You got a question? Yes, you did. She had a question. I'll look at her, not you. Unless you shave your legs.
Just a quickie for everybody number two. Can you explain more about what you meant when you put your hands like this to energy break?
Right. Actually, that's part of the work of somebody named Donna Eden. And what it is to create a separation after dealing with a person. We have to assume that there was some sort of transfer of energy here. And this is what she uses as an energy break. In other words, you put your hands together and you have this distinct, it's something like a ritual. So now you know that things are vended. Does that answer your question? Okay. In other words, the body has energy going through it, through your system. She's got energy. Somewhere up here, we wound up kind of putting some energy into Layla in order to get the improvement on her knee. Then from there, what I needed to do is to kind of have some sort of ending for Layla, so I'm not carrying around this for the rest of the day with me. Now, my body's energy system was tied into hers, so I have to make a separation. This is, for lack of better words, a symbolic, metaphoric way to separate my body's energy system from hers. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Oh, good. Confusing. I got me. What do I? Okay, Don. Big J, Don. Last question, by the way, then you can ask some questions of Dr. Nick after the presentation.
Dr. Nick, I wanted to ask in regards to your process of how you do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find yourself very much kind of doing your own decision-making process in regards to, for instance, if you see a dark area, you go, oh, I know that needs light. And if you see a red area, you go, oh, I know that needs more green. And the way some healing energetic healing schools do. Do you find yourself doing that sort of stuff?
Actually, I don't. I usually deal with what the clients do. Usually what I do is I deal with what the client brings to me. I do the demonstration and stuff to show you how to do the body scan and stuff. And then I think what you need to do is incorporate it into your treatment modality. For example, if you were a massage therapist, you might go about things a different way. Like, I'm a clinical counselor, so basically what happens with me is we kind of either talk or we do some things in order to improve your problem. So as far as dabbling with other problems that you bring in, the answer is no. I usually take care of the one you bring on the table, unless we need to take care of some other things in order to get that one better.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And just as a private note here, last year when I met Dr. Nick, we were discussing out in the hallway, I have a recurring medical pain type thing myself, like most people do when they get older. But a private session with him, tap, do this, that, and the other, and darn if it didn't work. Coming from a guy like me, But it came back after a while, and I forgot the little complicated, Chicken Little dance I'm supposed to do. And it go away.
Well, and once again, I want to point out that sometimes, when problems come back, that's the reason why we can teach you how to do this yourself. So in other words, the magic is not necessarily all me. It's the magic is teaching you how to take care of you.
Not your fault. I understand. I say that a lot during this conference. Not my fault. A very good presentation, by the way. Very good. This is a very good presentation. And thank you for your time. You'll be available for questions and such. When you step down.
And would you remind people we have handouts up here and
handouts here. If you will get an aide, go ahead and take those to the rear.
Okay.
We have to set up that presentation. As a reminder, we're now breaking into two simultaneous presentations. We're going to have Wayne Carr, Dr. Wayne